When you hear that trumpet, you know it's the Resistance Hour with Dr. Larry and Tom Donaldson. And tonight we are going to entertain a couple of our colleagues in the other professions. And Tom, we are talking tonight, I guess, about first of all about the geopolitical situation with Russia and China, or do we put that later?
We're going to put that later because what I did is I.
Okay. So what is first on the agenda?
The first on the agenda is going to be, we had a wonderful discussion yesterday, but with Pam, and we also have audio with Laura Donna. So I thought we would go ahead and.
You're disappearing.
Yeah, I'm disappearing because I'm sitting here with your master behind the scenes at your place, Teresa.
Oh, really?
Invisible producer. She's sitting there saying, "Tom, when the breaks, when the breaks." And so I'm trying this message, and yes, but I am going to basically. So,
Pam, you have to be tolerant.
Yeah. So that's on me, folks. So I'm sitting there with our person behind the scene. We have Laura Donna. Laura Donna, how you doing?
I'm good. Thank you. Mm-hmm.
And we got Pam. All right. I thought we talked about Brooklyn. Then we're going to talk about council culture. Then we're going to go into geopolitical thinking. And so all kinds of stuff. So we're going to go all over the map with this. And so
where do you want to start?
And I'll start off with this. Pam, you made two interesting points. I wanted to follow up, and then I want you to kind of get your impressions on, what you've read so far, and if you had a chance to look at what's going on with the gentleman who was nabbed, and your thoughts. But the first thing you stated,
Frank James.
Yeah, Frank James. Now, the first thing you talked about was what we asked this question, so I want you to kind of answer this question. That is, you talked about why pick that target.
Right. Well, it's considered a soft target.
Pam, maybe you could give us a little of your background first so that the audience would know who you are.
I retired in 2007, so I have a feeling that most of the information that I give is old anyway. But I was involved with the law enforcement, and I worked for the state of South Carolina. I'm really very proud of that. But I have been, and back when it wasn't a term, I was a profiler back then. We profiled crimes. We looked at crimes. We actually used information and stuff, but I was more on the end of why the behavioral part of it. And I did that, and I will say it like this: it's almost like it's a hobby, even when you're working. You're trying to figure out the who's and what's and whens and whys. But I dealt with the criminal element a lot. So that's part of the background with Tom asking me this, I suppose.
Sure.
Is that I actually look at trends and behaviors and why did this occur where it was? It was a soft target, but it could almost be in a situation when we found out, when they finally released it, more or less a hate crime. But I think it was an opportunistic target. Why he picked that area? Tom and them explained to me yesterday that is pretty much in between Hispanic and the Chinatown group of people. They're working class people, less likely to fight back, if you want to look at it like that. But the other part about that is when you hit a soft target like that, people that are in your bigger targets start getting scared. So you pretty much go after the soft targets. You go after the easy things that you can do. Now, I brought up yesterday, I thought that this person was not familiar with guns and stuff, I also was thinking today, you can buy a smoke bomb at a fireworks station, here in South Carolina. They're pretty common during 4th of July and things like that at any fireworks stand. I don't know how the rules are in New York City and some of the bigger cities and stuff. I think they are illegal in some states, but here, regular person can buy that stuff. Why he chose a 308 instead of a Glock? Or, a worst case scenario, AK-47. What is the deal with that? So I don't think he was that familiar with that. But I talked to Tom earlier today. Why now? Why today? Why at this time? And I believe that from what we found out with some of his media stuff, that he was pretty much incited the whole way.
Remember, he came from Wisconsin and Pennsylvania first before he got to it.
I would find out where he's at before that also.
Yeah, I don't know.
And I would actually look at the mental health background on the dude. In my opinion, there is something the matter there. They said he was on the FBI. People put out information. We talked yesterday about how can you trust the media? But people put out information. People call these false flags and things like that. But no, I think this was somebody just involved up into his own stuff. Now, did he have help doing this? I think that he was probably incited by other people. If he was an internet personality, he probably could have, and they'll probably come out later on. Maybe, maybe not. He may take a little bit of pride in doing it himself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm going to have to study the why now, why at this time, what triggered. There's probably an anniversary date for something.
Well,
and right now, what is it, Ramadan?
Yeah, Ramadan.
Yeah. There's a few things there that you have to consider if some of the reports about his background are true. So.
Well, he apparently was very active in social media. In fact, they were reporting all day about various things that he had put on Facebook, and particularly Facebook and Twitter, I guess. So I haven't personally read any of that. I don't know if you, Tom, have you?
Well, I just, like I said, I know that there was a lot of hatred. Yeah, he was I'm going to use the word, he was kind of a racist. He didn't exactly, there was a black quote, I used the word, you put it in quote nationalist, but they seem to be that there was an element of hatred there. And
he apparently had a rather lengthy statement on one of the social media outlets about the fact that he had a lot of hatred. He was hatred. He seemed to be talking a lot about the homeless, although he didn't really attack the homeless. But
no.
But he had a lot of hatred, and the object of a lot of it was apparently homeless people. But it's not consistent with the attack, because that was not a homeless.
No.
He could have gone under a bridge or one of the places where they hang out.
But that wouldn't have been a terror attack. That wouldn't have made, the terror news and stuff. That's what I find interesting, his targets.
Yeah. Well, that's what I did. We had this conversation because I was always it kind of struck me because, I know that area pretty well. I have a family member that lives in that area, and that was in fact her
subway
stop. So, that was kind of scary, because that was the first thing, I'm sitting there listening to the news, and the first thing I hear is, it's the 4th Street stop in Brooklyn. I'm thinking, wait a minute, I know that place. And then when they showed the picture, because it's the 36th Avenue, 4th Street and 36th Avenue stop is where it gets off. So, and I saw that and I was like, oh my God, that's where my daughter gets, goes back and forth from. And of course, that was the first thing I did was call her. And she said, oh no, I'm okay. And I guess it turned out she went down there a few minutes after the fact, and there were people from the fire department all over the place, and
You better get her back to Iowa where she's safer.
yeah, well, I'm asking that question now. It's
Where bacon is cheaper.
bacon is cheap.
And the president comes out and talks about all kinds of nonsense.
Yeah.
Do you hear that? Do you hear his statement today to the farmers?
No, I didn't hear today's statement. I know yesterday.
Maybe yesterday. I guess it was yesterday.
Well, yeah, I heard yesterday's statement, and obviously there was a bird that gave his opinion.
Yeah, and he didn't even notice it.
Yeah.
Maybe it tells you he's used to that, huh?
I don't know. Well, either that politicians, it can be, even the most incompetent politicians, at least, have the ability to, if you've been on the stump long enough to ignore a lot of things.
Well, he ignored it.
And he ignored it. That's absolutely right. So, but no, I wanted, because I thought that was a very interesting, you brought up yesterday, Pam, because, that was my first thought, because it was, yeah.
I think it was fueled. I do think that we talked about the media a little bit yesterday, but I do think that some of the media reports, some of these activists, we talked about the cancel culture stuff, but how these people, you can influence an audience, and a lot of these ideas and stuff, are floating out there in the ether. Whereas if we didn't have this way to communicate and stuff, we wouldn't know about it. A lot of people didn't know about a lot of news in other parts of the country, for the longest time. And now what's going on over in Russia, what's going on over in Africa, So, but yeah, I can see that. And if you have somebody that's even on the edge just a little bit, and you plant that seed, you can create that. Just like the hijackers for 9/11 were created. They were told, just like the kamikaze pilots were told that this is a good day to die,
Yes.
During World War II. So I believe that can be created. And so, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I would like to ask you a entirely different question. And maybe you can answer or not as you please. But I'm very interested in what is happening with the re-election of Tim Scott. Are you familiar with how he's doing?
Tim Scott is probably going to be reelected. If anybody else in any part of the country, there's a lot of outside influence that you read on the internet.
Right.
But here, Tim Scott is, people are just going, that's BS. This stuff, this BS, this is BS. For him being a white supremacist. That's just, it's just BS. Everybody's like, what? These people are out of their gourds. And, we have a phrase here that, you turn the United States on its side and everything loose kind of rolls into California. And that's pretty much where that's coming from, activist groups and things like that. Then people are trying to influence elections and they're trying to influence stuff. But South Carolinians have pretty much been pretty firm. My concern is we got a fellow raising a whole bunch of money that's a Democrat running against McMaster's, the governor here. And he's doing pretty good at that. But there's that, he's one of those rare breeds. He's a moderate Democrat. If you know what I mean.
Oh, he says.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, no, he pretty much is. Anything other than the band up there AOC and all those guys, anything, and Bernie, anything other than that pretty much is to us is not moderate.
Yeah. I'm going to say, is there such a thing as a moderate Democrat other than Manchin and the lady from Arizona?
Yeah, but I talked to you about professionalism yesterday. We had an editor here in Columbia at our newspaper who was so liberal and so out there and so left. It was crazy. But when she worked at the newspaper, she was the most fair. She reported the most fair. And I had the opportunity to talk to her, and we became friends for a period of time. But she was the most fair because news is news to her. And and you would have never known what her leanings were, because when she went to work, she was a total professional, knew what her job was, and it was news, and this is what she was going to report. It didn't matter what she supported. And you know, of course, they fired her.
Can you hold that thought? You're listening to the
hold on that thought. Yeah.
On the Batchelor News Radio Network.
Since Buffalo Wild Wings is always open late, here are a few things you'll enjoy. Buzzer beaters, wings in 21 signature sauces and seasonings, and great deals on food and beer. Grab select domestic draft beers starting at $4. $4 shareables like street tacos, fried pickles, chili queso dip, mozzarella sticks, and roasted garlic mushrooms, and deals on select liquor and house cocktails. Phew, that's a mouthful. Catch all of the late night action. Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings, beer, sports. Offers and participation vary. Please drink responsibly. Void where prohibited.
And welcome back here to the Resistance Hour. You can listen to the show every day at 1 and 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on thebatchelornews.airtime.pro. And also, you can buy this book, America at the Abyss, Will America Survive? It's available at barnesandnoble.com, amazon.com, libertyhillpublishingpress.com. And if you want to answer the question, will America survive? You have to buy the book. So,
the survival guide.
The survival guide. That's right. And so, all right, we're back here. And all right, a quick question. Yeah. So let me put it this way, because I don't see Tim Scott in trouble. I think for Tim Scott, I mean, my view would be, roll up the score, because I have a feeling he's one of these guys that somewhere along the line he's going to be considered for a higher office, vice president, maybe even president down the road. And but I'm kind of interested in McMaster, whether or not that would actually be a close race.
That's a concern. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but all right.
So how popular is McMaster?
Well, I find it interesting that they focused on the Florida governor and they focused on the Texas governor. And we've been kind of under key, but I think South Carolina has been a little bit more, how do you say it, common sense. And McMaster has run it with a common sense approach. I mean, I like him because he is a hands-off kind of dude.
Hands off.
I mean, he didn't get involved in the mandates that much. He said, no, we're not going to do this. I believe that I don't know if they have yet. I believe they have passed the abortion law thing. And they were doing all that stuff, but DeSantis and the guy in Texas, and I'm sorry, I can't remember his name now.
Abbott. Yeah,
Greg Abbott. Yeah, they got all the news and stuff, and I'm just kicking back going, well, we did that last week. We did that last week.
Yeah.
We did that last month,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But, but I don't think McMaster's made the news as much. So we've got a guy that's running against him that's really doing a lot, getting a lot of money, and I'm always suspicious of that. But
well, where that's coming from. I doubt it's coming from South Carolina. All right, let's go very briefly. We brought Laura Donna because Laura Donna is an artist.
Yeah.
And she's a film producer, and she's working on a film right now. I guess you would call it. Would you call it a cartoon, or because you use dolls?
It's like a hybrid. It's between live actions and animation. So I'm using miniatures and dolls, and then I animate those dolls, like animate their face, facial expression, and make them talk and stuff like that. Yeah.
right.
So it's kind of a weird movie, you know.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. We talked about this yesterday.
Mhm.
Cancel culture, and
Mhm.
I would have to imagine as an
Mhm.
artist,
Mhm.
especially in New York,
Yeah.
you get a lot of pressure to be on one side of the equation. So why don't you kind of talk about your views of cancel culture and some of the things you were talking about as well, including of people who wanted to do, we had doing voiceover and
Yeah.
who, go ahead.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I have some experience with some production assistants that two production assistants actually, and you're talking about people that are probably under 25, right?
Yes.
Hold on for a second. And hold on. And so my dolls are, the characters of the film. Some of the characters of the film are little dolls that are deformed because they are supposed to be children that were born after a big nuclear explosion. So it's like inspired by Chernobyl and stuff like that, right? So it's a horror film, right? It's a little bit of a horror film. So I have dolls that I actually created, and I developed, and they have all different colors, right? And some of these dolls are brown. So they walked out from the shoot because, and these are white kids, okay? They walked out from the shoot because they found some of the dolls offensive. Like one of the doll has a big skull and it's a brown doll. So they thought that I was mocking black people because that looked like a cartoon from the 50s or the 60s or something like that. Remind everybody that you probably realize, right? I wasn't born and raised here in this country. So a lot of stuff that might have been gone in the 80s, in the 90s, or in the 70s, in the 60s, or culture, like pop culture, right? I don't know about, right? And
Right.
So they found that offensive, and I find that it's really bizarre. It's really bizarre because it's like these people, these woke racist people, they add malicious intent to anything that you might be doing. That I have no intention to mock anybody at all. Then I have another thing. Then these are really weird experience. So I'm doing voiceovers with actors, right? And I hire some actors that I worked with before, and they come from a different background. I don't care. It's a voiceover work, okay? It doesn't matter the color of your skin. It doesn't matter. Nothing matters because it's your voice, okay? I'm not looking for anything in particular, And so I connected the voice of one of these actresses to a brown doll. And when she found out that, she became outraged. And she actually, I had to write down a contract because I dare to use her white voice with a black doll, and I was taking away a job, taking away work from a black actor. And I'm like, you've got to be really kidding me, right? Because I didn't take away a job. You got to be really stupid, but stupid a lot, stupid, to say that I am actually taking away work from a black person because I gave you a doll to do a voiceover for. I mean, it makes no sense. But I'm saying, and this person, I think this person is not even about racism per se. It's the fear that somebody will catch her in a project where her white voice, quote unquote, is associated with a black doll, of a doll of a different race. So that it's kind of, I'm underrepresenting black people, or I'm not actually giving them like nonsensical stuff, nonsensical ideas and fears that people have. Like, makes no sense. And when you talk about New York, because I'm doing some interviews for project etc., you will be, you gotta, everybody tries to be very inclusive. everybody try to be really inclusive. So they have a project with showing a transgender, then they have a project with a brown person, then with an Asian, because they're all terrified of this woke racist movement. Guess who's underrepresented? White people. You see all these, and I'm white, right? I'm white. I'm blonde and white with blue eyes. You will be shocked to know how few whites are represented in film and media, at least in the East Coast. Shocked. Because I look for myself. I look for people looking like me as well. I'm not saying that you shouldn't represent Black people or Asian people. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is that you will be surprised how underrepresented are white people. Because I check websites like crazy because I'm looking for, freelance work and stuff like that. And they don't have white people, even if they are made by white people, they don't have white talent. They don't represent white talent. It's shocking how far this thing is going, where, everybody's got to feel like they're including other races but their own, which is crazy.
Yeah. Okay. The other thing, because but this is what I think is interesting, because it comes. I mean, the point you're making is that we're getting to a point where even on a voiceover, you have to. Yeah. And I always say, and this is a point we talked about yesterday. Actors are actors. You act out different roles. You'll be given different assignments, and I just find it part of a challenge of being an actor is taking on a role that's not maybe who you are and turning it into who you are.
Aaron Burr was not a black man, right?
Yeah.
But it's a doll. You know what I mean? It's a doll. Nobody asked you to do anything. Don't read malicious intent into something that has no malicious intent. They just and it goes, I'm telling you, for everything, not even for film and media, where you might see like a big representation in that because you see it in front of your eyes, right? Even in jobs, you gotta be I remember my ex-employer is a director of a school, and a principal told him, do not hire people under 25 years old because they all create problems, because they have big words in their mouth, like, I feel threatened, I feel that violence, like I felt like I was threatened, like bullshit like that, so that they can use and manipulate the situation at their advantage. So employers are terrified because you never know what you can say. You can say a silly joke and that person can come back to you and say, I feel threatened and I felt like that was a racist comment against my beliefs. Shit like that.
Loredana, when you get the opportunity right now, and I'm interested to find the outcome of this, there's a woman at Coastal Carolina University who is suing the school, and I think she's fixing to win her suit because culturally she is, I believe, Latino and something else. She has 3 cultures, but they told her that she looked too white to be at the front desk.
I'm telling you.
And she's suing, and I believe that she is winning this case.
Yeah. Hold on to that thought. We got
good job. Well done. Because I don't have can I say something else?
Real quick, because then we have to take a break.
Bothering me. This is I wasn't born and raised here. What I mean by that is I don't have a lot of hang-ups about racism. That
right.
You were born and raised here. You were born and raised in a culture where things were, racism was very much emphasized. I don't have that. I don't have that kind of. I don't feel guilty because I'm white. I don't.
Hold on to that thought. Yeah, hold on to that thought. We're going to be right back here. here on the Resistance Hour on the Batchelor News Radio
Since
Network.
Buffalo Wild Wings is always open late, here are a few things you'll enjoy. Buzzer beaters, wings in 21 signature sauces and seasonings, and great deals on food and beer. Grab select domestic draft beer starting at $4. $4 shareables like street tacos, fried pickles, chili queso dip, mozzarella sticks, and roasted garlic mushrooms, and deals on select liquor and house cocktails. Phew, that's a mouthful. Catch all of the late night action. Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings, beer, sports. Offers and participation vary. Please drink responsibly. Void where prohibited.
Welcome back to the Donaldson Files. The Resistance Hour. The Resistance Hour here on the Batchelor News Radio Network. You can listen to our show every day at 1 and 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at batchelornews.airtime.pro. And don't forget, one of the advantages of being the co-host of the show, I can sell my book, America at the Abyss, Where America Survived, available on BarnesandNoble.com, Amazon.com, LibertyHillPublishingPress.com, and then or you can go to your local bookstore. Laura Donna, here's what I want you to do: go to your local bookstore. You can, and if you haven't bought the book yet,
I will.
You can have them order the book. Just go ahead and say, listen, you need to order this book in, and a friend of mine will pick it up later.
Okay.
And that way they have to put it on the shelf.
Where are you from?
I'm from Italy. I'm from the northeast of Italy, like Venice, close to Venice, an hour from Venice. And I've been here since at the very end of 1999, and I became a citizen in 2016. So yeah, I've been here a while, Yeah.
So you are an Italiana.
Yeah. Yeah.
Americana Italiana.
Yeah. Yeah. I divorced that country. This is my home. So like, I'm really happy to be here. And I think, honestly, there's lots of people that maybe are really young. And I think it's probably a thing that you see in all countries, not only in the United States. They don't realize how good they have it, And beside all the problems that you might have here, because no country is perfect, here is so much better. Trust me. And I come from a liberal socialist country. Okay, so I don't come from dirt poor. I come from a place that you say, oh, it's so pretty, Italy's so pretty, and it's so sophisticated and stuff like that. Wow, wow, wow. I'm telling you, here it's better. And
well, I can tell you, I have some relatives that are in Germany, who are German, and they say if they want, they're all in the arts. And they say that if they want to get the real, the best art and the best style and the best appearance and grace, they must go to Italy.
But it's like Italy is pretty. It's really pretty and beautiful. The culture is beautiful, hands down, right? But it's very hard to if you are. It's in Sweden. I think I was listening to a program a while ago. In Sweden and Finland is the same thing. So if you are a person who's different or is ambitious, those are no country for you, because you need to be extremely conformist, and there is a big level play. Like you just accept the way it is over there. You don't go beyond that. You're not allowed to go beyond anything that they provide. So if you are different or ambitious, that's why many people leave, because if you have, even if you are, for example, like, even like becoming a medical researcher, you're not going to be able to. You're not going to be able to, because they're not going to pay you anything. They're not really interested in research. So that's why a lot of people, like a friend of my sister, she went to Boston, to Harvard, where she works there as a medical researcher. Because there it's like there's only so far and only so much that you can explore. They're not interested in doing anything more than what they already have. It's just, but it's very cultural too. It's not even in England, I remember I worked for a person that was was a very famous hairdresser, and he was saying that England is like, you can be in England if you are more ambitious, because the system will hold you back purposely from doing anything else. So
they have old buildings and old ideas, huh?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And a lot of things, they have the Me movement or the woke races. They're all imported values from America, because America is very, America creates values and trends that are exported everywhere in the world. And it's true, really true. Like, I mean, it's true. Whatever, and they are trying to adopt these values of woke racism and or the Me movement. It's only that in Italy it can't really hold on to, because the culture of nepotism and the corruption is so strong that even the Me movement can't really be accepted. I know I went a little bit off points, but just to let you know, I mean,
Right.
about that.
So, Tom,
Yes.
we were going to also touch on the topics of geopolitics. Is that?
Yeah, we were. Like I say, I wanted to say so. Well, here's the thing I was thinking of. Maybe I'll ask the question this way, because I know I didn't prepare my guest for this part of the show. But well, to me, again, so you and I were talking on the Donaldson files that was previous to this, and I made the point. I mean, and you and I, the conversation, the question I'm going to throw back is, geopolitical thinking is, when this, the Ukrainian situation is over, you're going to have Russia essentially allied with China, and basically they're going to be, Russia, the only thing Russia's got that more of than China has is nuclear weapons. Beyond that, they have raw materials, resources, but their economy is, quite frankly, I mean, we have states in the United States that have a bigger GDP than Russia.
Like a bankrupt gas station.
Yeah, exactly. It's basically, somebody once described it, it's a gas station on top of a country on top of a gas station. But what happened? But to me, the thinking was, if we don't start thinking about the fact that you're going to have two countries align themselves that essentially covers 11 time zones, raw materials, and the ability of the United States to be able to, let's say, put economic sanctions or anything of this nature to China would be virtually nil, because they can have all the resources they can out of Russia that they don't have themselves. And what does this mean for the future? I've got
a couple of comments on that. Number one, it would be very helpful to us to have India as part of our coalition. And one of the creative ideas that's going on right now is this idea of having an alliance of all the English-speaking countries, and that would include India, because India is the largest English-speaking country in the world. If that could happen, then we would have definitely, and Pakistan probably would go along with it, but so that's just one factor here. But the bigger factor, I think, would be the question of the economic factor. I think is very much in our favor if we maintain our free markets. And
that's a big question.
That's the big question right now. But
that's a big one.
I'm being told that we're supposed to take another break. Is that?
That is correct. So why don't you go ahead and start the break?
Okay. Okay, you're listening. You're listening to the Resistance Hour on the Batchelor News Radio Network.
Required listening with Amazon Music.
Dad music again?
The greatest guitarist of all time.
Wait, who?
Alexa, add this song to a new playlist.
Sure, what's the new playlist name?
Jack's Intro to Classic Rock.
Adding Stepping Stone by Jimi Hendrix to Jack's Intro to Classic Rock playlist.
Amazon Music, the simplest way to listen to the music you and soon he will love. New customers start your 30-day free trial at amazonmusic.com. Renews automatically, cancel anytime.
This is Tom Donaldson, along with my good friend and host of the show. I'm just a sidekick, Tom Donaldson with Larry Fedewa here on the Resistance Hour. But as a sidekick, I get to promote my book, America at the Abyss, Will America Survive? It is available through barnesandnoble.com, amazon.com, and libertyhillpublishingpress.com. And don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, you can also get it from your local bookstore. If they don't have it, have them order in two, one for yourself, one for a friend, so they'll have to put it on the shelf.
You don't look like a sidekick.
Yeah.
You look like a big kick. So we're talking about the rest of the world, I guess.
Yes. Well, here's the other question we didn't talk about, and I'll throw in Pam, and I'll have Laura Donna, because Laura Donna, this might be of interest to you, but
we got to hear from South Carolina too.
Oh yeah, we are. Yes. But here's the other question. You got an election in France, and Marie Le Pen is not a fond admirer of NATO. In the past, now she's kind of taken some of this back, but in the past she's been, supportive of Putin. I mean, the reality is that I got, that a good portion of her party money has come from Russia. And the question is, and we're talking about one of the largest armies in Europe. And the question is, we've talked about, about Germany and their impact on NATO. But what happens if Le Pen gets elected? What does that do to NATO?
Well, it does have one. It's very significant in that if you take America, North and South America, well, not North America anyway, North America and Europe, which we now have traditionally have very close relationships. That as an economic engine is bigger than Russia and China together right now. Although it's hard to really correctly estimate China's economy because their metrics are so screwed up.
Well, like I say, who trusts their metrics?
Yeah. So but that's all kind of hypothetical. I'd like to find out what's happening in the South as far as this counterculture and CRT and all this stuff we're getting here in Washington. Do you see that in your experience, Pam?
That actually kind of went on 2 years ago and got nipped really fast. As far as that is concerned, I was kind of listening to your when you're talking about the South. What else did you need to know about? I mean, it's not. It's.
If you listen to,
I have friends who have young children. Some of them in some school districts have not been exposed to this. I have a friend that has a child that they took from Georgia. The mother, said, no, let this kid come to South Carolina. That young child is so screwed up right now. It's just crazy. And that's a lot of psychological impact on what her race or what her gender is. And now she's a he, it's like really, really. And this is somebody who's relatively young. I think that pretty much it was nipped a while back with some of these school districts. And when I say that, I'm trying to remember when it was a big issue, like a couple of years ago. Whether or not they're trying it now, I know a lot of companies are. You know, we're a manufacturing type of state, and I know a lot of companies have moved in and done that, and tried that, you know, critical race theory on everybody. But nah, I really have not seen the stuff that you read about in the bigger cities. I haven't seen that here. Not to say that it is not going on here. But like I said, there's that young lady who's suing because even though she's a different culture, she looks white. She looks white, and they pretty much said you look too white.
That's to me, that's an amazing thing because
that's so crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, it is, but I don't know if that's a part of the college adopting that CRT. You know what I mean?
Well, you know what I think. So I have to say, it's so funny because I'm a member of the Boxing Writers Association, and I do cover boxing occasion. And one of the top fighters in the world is a guy named Canelo Alvarez.
Mm-hmm.
And Canelo Alvarez has red hair, freckles, looks like me, and he's full-blooded Mexican.
God.
He's full-blooded Mexican. Yes. In fact, yeah. So.
Well, people down here, even if you belong to an Indian tribe, you don't look like an Indian because they're so used to, and I don't mean no disrespect, Loredana, but they used to look like the Italian actors that were hired to be Indians in the old Westerns. If you don't look like that, you're not an Indian.
They were,
you know,
they were feeling.
You're not an Indian. And I have Indian friends that can tell you more about this than you. Okay, fine.
Well, actually,
right.
Yeah, but you're also part Indian yourself, right? I'm Native American.
Yes, I am. I'm pretty much a lot of Native American, but genetically and also by family, you know, tradition. But it's so friggin' funny, you know, that you get that a lot. If I dressed up in regalia, you may not know. You know, if I dressed in my,
you're our Native American with a Southern accent.
Yes, I am proud of it. But I can go up to South Dakota and sit with the best of them, and you know, I have. There's, you know, I know 4 languages, probably 5. One of them is the Gullah and Geechee, and there's upstate South Carolina that has another language, and Lakota language, and Cherokee language, and I'm trying to learn Spanish. But I grew up with also French, I guess because of the French Canadian stuff.
Have you felt racism or discrimination in your?
Oh yeah. Yeah, more so my family. I have a brother who's a little bit darker, and we grew up with that. We went to a different school, and during the desegregation, we got transferred from the school that we were very comfortable with to another school because they wanted to integrate everybody. You know, and so I grew up with that. That happened to me. So it is what it is.
Yeah.
You know, you know, we grew up with that. So, but yeah, you know, I don't call it racism. I just call it stupidity.
Yeah.
We never had, you know, I don't look at it in that term, and maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't. I don't know, but I'm too old to care right now. You know, right now, you asked me a police question or a law enforcement question. I was able to answer that as a law enforcement background in history. I don't identify as somebody who is an expert on that. You know, you see what I'm saying? And I wouldn't pretend to tell you what a Cheyenne Indian thinks. I dated one once, but I can't tell you about that. You know? I'm not an expert on all Native Americans, obviously, but you know, we don't call ourselves Native American. We call ourselves Indians.
So that's interesting. So you identify yourself as Indians, but not Native American. So
not any people that tribes that I have dealt with actually call themselves Native Americans. They're Indians. They're they're Indian people. They call themselves what their tribe is. There's the it's like the Navajo call themselves the Dine. The Cherokee are the people. You're Lakota or you're Papa Lakota.
I don't care. Yeah, I think the first time you were on our show years and years ago, and in fact, it got kind of heated with another guest. I'm not going to name names, but you were not one of those native, quote unquote, native. I'm so used to saying Native Americans.
Indian.
Yeah, you could. I mean, you could say I don't care.
Yeah, but you were. You never got insulted by the word Washington Redskins.
We pulled for the Redskins. We wore Redskins jerseys for Thanksgiving. Every year we dressed up, and that was the game because they played the Cowboys.
All right.
Yeah.
That was the game. And you could walk anywhere on the reservation. You'd see that Redskins shirt. That was it. And no, I never was. I'm not offended. I'm actually more offended that they took the Indian maiden off of Land O'Lakes butter.
Yeah.
I quit buying Land O'Lakes because I'm like, oof, really? Y'all did that?
Yeah.
Well, these are a bunch of non-Indians who are just looking for a fight.
Well, I don't think they're non-Indians. There are some Indian folk that I have met, some Native American folk that I have met. They get totally offended by mascots. They get totally offended. And I hate to say it, Tom, but a lot of them are right close to you in Ohio and stuff. They get really, really, really bad offended.
Yeah.
But there have been some people, their whole tribes have been wiped out, assimilated, and as they call it, turned into white. And I just don't have time for all that. I just, and my family doesn't have time for all that. I told you, I come from a farming family and stuff. We work hard and you just don't have time to. It takes a luxury to be offended by something.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So Loredana, where are you from? Where do you live?
Oh, I live in Brooklyn.
He's in New York.
Yeah.
So you're right in the heart of things right now.
Yeah, I mean, there've been like very sirens and stuff going on. There is stuff going on that probably because I don't live too far from Sunset Park. Actually, I live in Flatbush, but it's okay. Yeah.
Well, like I said, I asked you this question yesterday. I'm going to ask you again. We'll get it because I think it's, but do you fear going on the subway anymore? I mean, is there any increased fear of going on the subway? You give this. You gave the answer yesterday, but for this particular audience, I'd like to have you kind of repeat that answer.
No. I mean, what are you gonna do, right? I mean, you have to ride the subway. I mean, it's the most reliable and medium of transportation here. It's like and what, you're gonna ride a cab and an Uber and spend like $60 to go into Manhattan? Makes no sense. It's like I mean, there is more police around, so which is great because there was a time when they found the police, all this bullshit and stuff like that. You had less police there, but now police is back, which is a little bit more reassuring, and so Yeah.
Well, that's a typical New Yorker. Yeah, we're gonna live our life here, no matter
You
what.
have to. I mean, what are you gonna do, right? You can't cage yourself and crazy people are everywhere. More people, more crazy people. And stuff like that. But most people, we just want to go on and live our lives and go to work. We want the subway to work. It's like I said, it's the most reliable way to go to work. So it's very important. Yeah.
That's about really the biggest event, the number one way, because own a car in New York is like.
It's crazy. No,
that's right. I mean, literally.
I don't even have a driver license. I have a driver license from my country, which I don't use at all. But no, because a car is too expensive. You always get parking tickets like crazy. Yeah. You're driving around the block for a half hour to find parking. I can't do that. Can't live my life like that. You know what I mean? It's
Well,
crazy.
not only that, if I remember correctly, you can pay almost as much to park a car in a garage on a monthly basis you do to live.
Yeah. And garages are like $500 a month. Get out of here. I'm not gonna do that.
In Iowa, that's called living. That's called rent.
Yeah,
for a
exactly.
family.
And what am I going to park with? I mean, only rich people do that, okay? Only rich people that don't mind spending $500, $1,000 in Manhattan in a big parking space and park their BMW and stuff like that. But us, regular people, can't afford like that. You know what I mean? It's like it's crazy. Also, because you don't ride a car. Because if you are where I live or wherever you are, you don't go every day in the city with a car. You take the train. That's the most practical way to travel. So you would just have a car that you maybe use like twice a month. I don't think so. No. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, no, my daughter doesn't own a car either. So.
Yeah. I mean, you
she didn't even have a parking garage in there close to her place.
Yeah.
It's like you said, she parks on the street.
Yeah, and you will have to ride around.
And you got to move it. So
yeah, you better move it because the tickets is coming. The ticket is coming. It's crazy. Yeah, they're really strict. Don't mess around with the tickets, man. They're like forget it. No, I can't live like that. It's too much. It's too much.
Well, we're getting close to the end of this conversation here.
I thank y'all for letting me come on, gentlemen, but I do have to scoot. I appreciate it. Lord Donna, it's been fun. I love hearing you talk.
Oh, thank you. It was great for me too. I had fun. I vented a little bit. I vented because cancel culture is really, really upsetting. Really upsetting. And this,
y'all take care.
You take care. Good. Thank you very much. Pam.
What is the name of your movie that's coming out?
Oh yeah, well, it's gonna take me another year. You need to finish it, but it's called "Where Did You Go, Little Souls," and it's a fantasy movie. It's a fantasy animation movie. Yeah. Thank you for asking.
You want to say that slowly?
Oh yes. So, where did you go, little souls?
Where did you go,
little souls?
Little souls. Ah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, good luck.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. And just real quick, let everybody know you got an Instagram site and a Facebook channel. So, and I know that ever so often you got some videos of the movie.
Yeah.
A gander. So why don't you tell people very briefly how they can, follow you?
Yeah. Okay. So my Instagram is my name backwards. So it's ANADEROLART Instagram. Ana Derolart. It's my name backwards with ART at the end. Yeah.
All right.
Well, that'll be hard to remember.
I can write it to you like on the thing, like if I write it, but Ana Derolart.
Well, it sounds like you at least recovered from your dental surgery.
Yeah. I know. I'm always afraid of dentists. I'm terrified of dentists. It's like, the idea of somebody coming to my mouth with a little iron metal and they start drilling. Yeah, it's not fun. It scares the crap out of me.
Keep them out of your mouth, right?
Yeah.
Keep them out of your mouth.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to have to say goodnight.
Thank you so much for having me. Really. Thank you.
You're very welcome, Tom. We can sign off, I guess, with our usual blessing. We ask the Lord above to God bless America because we really need it.